Glad to have you. 5 o'clock. Prater and the ball game. KTIK, the ticket. Boise State, Washington State. We don't get games of this magnitude on the blue all that often, and this is going to be terrific fun. By the way, you want to get to this game. I know, rhetorical question. We're going to give you an opportunity to win tickets this hour, so keep those phones handy. Let's head over to our Double Tap Pub hotline. One of the best college football quarterbacks I've ever seen is hanging out with us, and I know he's got a keen interest in this game on Saturday. He's a TV analyst now for the CW. They're doing a great job with college football, and the architect of the biggest beatdown on the blue by a visiting team in history. Ryan Leaf is with us. And what is that, Prater? 58-0 in 1997. No one's had a bigger beatdown since.
I bet you can ask Ryan Leaf. He knows, he remembers, and that's certainly going to come up right now.
Ryan Leaf, welcome back to Idaho Sports Talk. We love having you on. We're big fans. We love what you do, and we love talking football. Was that 58-0, 57-0? Ryan, you've given Boise State the biggest ass kicking they've ever had.
Well, I'm glad I could have done that, and I'm a great trivia question for everybody. Yeah, 58-0. Your loudmouth kicker mouthed off a little bit before the game, and so we probably had a little extra for him there in the first half. In fact, the only time he got on the field was the opening kickoff, I believe, of the game.
We had it over.
We were listening to this. Coach comes walking in during the week, and he's just somehow he had heard the line. We were 56-point favorites, and he came in and said, "You are not 56 points better than this team. This is nonsense." And he just railed that into us all week long. And I remember after the game, I go, "Hey, Coach, you were right all along. We were 58 points better than this team."
They covered a 56.5-point spread. Ryan Leaf with us. Your Cougs are balling, Ryan. Quarterback, you got another one. Just what's in your head right now with your beloved Washington State Cougars? You must be loving this.
I'm really enjoying. I mean, I love Jake Dickert. He's the man that's needed in that chair for what they've had to deal with over the last year and a half or so. So I think he's the right man for the job. He's clearly showcased that. I'm excited for this game on Saturday night. I wish I could attend. I wish I could. I'm going to try to listen. I'll probably be driving back to Birmingham. I'm at Tuscaloosa, Georgia, Alabama, Georgia this weekend. So, I'm really interested in it because I think this W, if Washington State were to get it, I think it would go a long ways for what the rest of the year plays out. I know they got to go to Fresno next week, but this is a big moment, and Boise's playing incredibly well as well. What they were able to accomplish and almost get done at Oregon, I think, speaks volumes. They run the ball incredibly well, and that's going to be difficult for Washington State to stop. So I think this is a really competitive game. The fact it's on the road, it's on the blue turf, I mean, that's meaningful. Boise brings it, and that place is going to be chaotic come Saturday night, late night there on Fox.
He's Ryan Leaf, an iconic Washington State quarterback. Boise State host Washington State on Saturday night on the Blues. Sold out. Ryan is all over the place now. He's a consultant, a speaker, a broadcaster. The CW might even catch him on a Mountain West game at some point, certainly this year. All right, let's talk about the big dog in the room and John Mateer, the quarterback, and what he's doing. We've been talking about him all day, every day this week. He certainly is what makes that click. What do you love about this guy?
I just like his swagger. I think he's a leader of these men, and I don't care what the game plan calls for. Maybe it calls for him to throw the ball 50 times a game. He can do that. Or it may call for him to throw it 19 times and run it another 20. He is about as close to a Swiss Army knife when we use that, generic analogy. It's true. Whatever the game plan is asking him to do, he can do it. He's that athletic. He's got the trust of his offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle, and they're gonna throw the kitchen sink at you. Whatever you feel like you have the advantage in, they'll counter that. And I want to say Ben Arbuckle is maybe one of the best young offensive coordinators out there right now. And unfortunately, when that happens, other teams come a-calling is usually how that goes. And I hope that's not the case. I hope we can keep them hidden. But if we keep winning and we throw a big old hand grenade into the college football playoff, they're not going to be hidden very long.
Yeah, and he's a program kid, Ryan Leaf. I mean, he's been there the whole time. You were. A lot of the quarterbacks in a long lineage of great quarterbacks were. I mean, does that maybe make it a little more special for you and your liking of John Mateer, that he didn't quit when he didn't win the gig initially? He fought through, he got the gig, and he's playing like a Cougar quarterback, right?
Yeah, that's hard to see. You know, when I used to go in and speak to these universities and these kids, I talk about how when you make a decision when you're 18 years old, that's something you're going to decide to be the rest of your life. Like, I went in and made the decision I was going to be a Washington State Cougar. I was going to be a Cougar the rest of my life. That's what it is. And that's just not the case anymore. You could be ultimately at 4, 5, maybe 6 schools during your tenure now in college. So it's not the same type of identity and loyalty. So when you see one come along like that, yeah, it takes you to a place where you want to see that success and you associate him with Washington State. But you know, Gardner Minshew was on the Palouse for 6 months, and he's the most beloved football player ever to step on campus. So hey, to each his own when it comes to this.
Ryan Leaf, we're going to dive into all the issues, the UNLV quarterback, the Pac-12 Mountain West. I kind of want to get and I love what you just said. When you make that decision on a Thursday when you're 17 years old, you become a Cougar for life. And that means keeping in touch and showing up every now and then. As you talk to your friends, your teammates, the people of the past, what do they have in terms of the emotions and the pulse of college football in Pullman right now? They've been through so much, but it's such a proud fan base. What are they thinking? What's the emotional state of a Washington State fan these days?
Well, I think a Washington State fan emotional baseline is pretty much non-existent. It's always pretty much up or down. There's reactionary, there's resentfulness, there's a lot of stuff that goes into being a Cougar fan, I think. But what it does teach you, it teaches you how to deal with adversity. I mean, you get kicked down and get pushed down and get, thrown to the side. And that's exactly what happened in this instance. And I really love what Teresa Gould did. I don't think for one moment, no matter what anybody else has to say, that they ever entertain the idea of going to the Big 12 or anybody else when, if they would have thrown out a low ball off or something like that. I think they always visualized a rebuilt Pac-12. The Pac-12 brand still means something, and it's going to mean something even more now that you've added teams like Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and San Diego State, Utah State. It's going to mean something. And what she has done, when we add a 8th team, because that's inevitable. I don't care where you have to go find an 8th team. It's irrelevant who that 8th team is. It could have been UNLV. It could have been Memphis. It could have been whoever wanted to be a part of it. I've talked to plenty of my network executives and some of the streaming services. The number is going to be much higher than anybody expects for what the media market is going to be next year when they're the one lone conference being able to go to market when the season's over. So that's incredibly meaningful. The fact that they are set up for an automatic qualifier, and I don't think enough people know that that's a reality. There's no Group of 5 or Power 5 or Power 4 conferences anymore. Those don't exist. There's 5 automatic qualifiers. Those are the top 5 ranked conference champions. So what Washington State, Oregon State, and the Pac-12 did is they brought in a very competitive league. And if Oregon State, Boise State, or Washington State, at least early on, just because it's going to take a little time for maybe those 4 other teams to kind of come to the forefront, they're going to benefit from this. They're going to benefit from this because it really falls to that spot. You don't have to worry about the Power 4 conferences anymore. Those are going to go to the top 4 spots, plain and simple. The conference champions, those 4. But that 5th one, you've now removed all the competition outside of that. Your competition now is the American Athletic Conference and the Sun Belt Conference. So you're telling me that those odds aren't better than trying to be an at-large bid with 2 teams, or trying to merge a whole Mountain West together and lose out and dilute the money in terms of the media rights deal? This is playing chess by Teresa Gould. She's a grandmaster. She's done this the right way. The look this week is just everybody's so a prisoner of the moment, and the fact that teams turned us down. Oh well, like the last spot is rather irrelevant, and I don't want to say that so flippantly because the team that comes in, we're going to want, and we're going to want to respect, and we're going to want to be a part of our conference because it's going to be special that way. But there's truth in it. So you've narrowed down the competition level, and every team that left the Pac-12 last year doesn't have the same type of odds to get to the college football playoff. I even wagered to somebody that Washington State would make the college football playoff before the University of Washington does in this model.
Nice.
And so if that's the case, if we're just making chicken salad over here, folks, so stop talking to us. We're just making a bunch of chicken salad over here. And if you guys don't like it, deal with it. Boise's a part of it. How many, imagine getting a home playoff game on that blue turf when Tennessee has to walk in to play in that in December somehow, if it gets a 5 seed. Now, that's a little far-fetched to maybe get the 5 seed because they go by the rankings at that point. But, hey, if Boise gets into the college football playoff as an 11th, 12th seed and gets a chance to go to SEC country to battle somebody, by all means. I just know that money, the college football playoff money, is big, and more TV money will come with that. If your team is on a yearly and annual basis the prohibitive favorite to be the 5th conference champion that gets into this mix. And so I just think that she's done a great job. And I think that anybody who's out there poo-pooing it or doubting it and anything like that, you need to widen your gaze and understand what this is really all about.
I love it. Ryan Leaf with us. He's a college football Hall of Fame class of 2025 finalist. We'll get to that in a second.
Woo!
But, Ryan Leaf, you're in the Pac Hall of Fame. You're one of the best quarterbacks ever in this conference. Like, if Teresa Gould did say she's going to call Ryan Leaf, or, hey, Ryan, where do you think we should go? Apparently, Memphis's athletic director, Ed Scott, said earlier today, hey, whoa. We're not completely out of this. We just didn't like the first deal. Ryan Leaf, who do you think makes the most sense? You need one team for sure. What would you do to help this league as much as you can?
Well, because, I know who our competition is now. The conference that screwed the hell out of James Madison University the last couple of years, the Sun Belt, through that process, I'd call James Madison. I'd call them to be in it because there's no loyalty to the Sun Belt there. I mean, they got absolutely screwed through this process. They won the damn championship and didn't get to play for it.
Yeah.
So this is something I'm looking at them. They're a tough team. And guess what? You go get JMU, you deplete the Sun Belt significantly. You go get the top of the AAC, you significantly deplete how good they are. Okay. That's what I loved about her decision to go grab the 4 teams out of the Mountain West Conference. I think those are the top of the conference in the Mountain West, right? Not only have you depleted them, you've left them under 8 teams, so they're not a viable conference option for one of those spots. I mean, they're doing everything they possibly can, and I know in a lot of people's eyes it looks, bad. But hey, we're in the place where we got left behind, and we're in a position where we're like adapt or die, because that's essentially what everybody wanted us to do. Then just die, just go, just take down the Pac-12 brand, just get out of here. That's just not how it works. So that's where I would start first. I would go look at JMU. They are a battle ready team. It's a long ass journey. And I would rather this be a regional conference, so I would have loved UNLV to have accepted. I would have loved for Nevada. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So you might have to look elsewhere. If you even want to look into the Big Sky and look at Idaho, who tried to move up years before, if you put them in a Pac-12 conference, that team starts to develop and build some different money opportunities and they're pretty darn competitive. They took Oregon to the wire and they went down and beat Abilene Christian this year already. So who knows where those goes, but I know that another team, an 8th team, will be added by the deadline and make them a viable conference, which is eligible for that 5th automatic qualifier.
All right, Ryan Leaf, we all know that name, image, and likeness was forced upon college football. For the most part, it's good. I like the fact that college student athletes are getting paid finally, but every now and then the ugly story crops up. Yesterday, Matthew Sluka, the UNLV coach, everybody else has had an opinion on this. I'd love to hear yours.
I mean, kids are going to make decisions. Like, there's consequences, good or bad, to any one of them. There's going to be somebody playing this weekend. The thing about NIL and transfer portals thing is that people get so up in arms, and there's been so much pearl clutching over this stuff. And I'm just like, I don't care where Washington State plays, who they play, when they play. I'm going to watch them. All right. I'm going to cheer for them. And it might be a different team every single year because that's just the world we live in. Now, again, there's an adapt or die thing to all of this. If the kid wanted and expected that money and didn't get it and he wants to go somewhere else, hey, good for him. If the school never promised him that and he went in and tried to renegotiate after they had an early winning streak to the season, good for them. I don't care. I don't know why everybody is so up in arms with this possibility. Yeah, it just, time goes on. We evolve. Like when I was playing and they were selling my jersey in the bookstore, when I walked by during class, after a class one day, I saw it. I didn't think like, hey, I should be getting my piece of that. I just thought, this is freaking cool. They got my jersey up here and people are going to be wearing it. But we didn't understand how much money they were making. And when people figured that out and saw how much money was being made, people started to develop. Listen, I've come to the place. I signed my kid up for flag football the other day. One of the forms and waivers to sign was a name, image, and likeness one. Like, hey, if we take pictures during a game and we want to put them up on our website, I didn't sign the waiver. And the coach came up to me afterwards and the team mom, she's like, Ryan and Anna, you didn't sign the waiver for this. And I said, well, if you use my son's likeness on a thing, you're going to pay him for it. So that's the deal now. All right. And so that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Okay. And so everybody stopped. Like, oh my God, it's ruining college football. I'm going to watch college football. I just called the Purdue-Oregon State football game the other night. It was awesome. It was amazing. The Big Ten team came into town. Lights were on. They went to battle and beat a Big Ten team at what they do best, running the football and being physical. I had a blast calling that with Ted Robinson. I'll have a blast calling the Colorado State one in a couple of weeks and when Wazoo and Oregon State play it in a couple of weeks for more. This is awesome. College football is awesome. I don't care what kind of lens you want to view through it. If you want to view it through a resentful lens, by all means.
Oh, the classic old Heisman candidate gunslinger, just throwing like he's got the Fab Five again. Ryan Leaf with us here on Prater and the Ball Game. You heard me mention, Ryan, you're a class of 2025 College Football Hall of Fame finalist with Kellen Moore. Kellen
and I talked about this.
Did you? Okay, I can't wait for this story because we talk about Kellen every single day on this show. He comes on like you do as well. I mean, Kellen is, he is as big as it gets in Boise, Idaho. We would love to see you two go in together. Come on, Ryan, what you got?
I don't care about these Hall of Fame things that much, but there are two of them that kind of stand out for me, and that was the Washington State Hall of Fame and the College Football Hall of Fame. The big reason why for the College Football Hall of Fame, there is in the bylaws in some of the deal, there's a morality clause in it. And to finally be placed on the ballot, because I think the player deserved to be in years ago, but the man didn't. And so when they ultimately said, you are a nominee for the College Football Hall of Fame, they liked who was looking back at him as a man. And I think that speaks volumes. And to be considered on a ballot with somebody like Kellen Moore, I think that even says more. And my wife and I were traveling in July, and it was right when when the big thing happened where all the airlines went down and Delta was a big part of it. And we're in the Salt Lake airport, and I'm walking by, and there's this guy walking with a hat on and a kid on his shoulders. And I'm like, we get kind of by, and I turn around to my wife. I said, that's Kellen Moore. And my wife's like, who? Because she doesn't know anybody. She had no idea who I was when she met me. So I turn around, I go and grab him, and he's there with his family, and they're waiting to get back to Philly, of course, to start his season. And so him and I just started talking about it. And we both kind of came to that resolution to how cool would it be if him and I went in to the College Football Hall of Fame together, because he's a Prosser, Washington guy,
Yes.
and he grew up watching me play. And I remember we went to Wade Wilson's funeral together, and he came up to me and talked to me about, like, I had never met Kellen before. I just watched him in college, and he came up and told me the story about how he grew up watching me play college football at Washington State. And I mean, come on, he's the winningest college quarterback ever almost. And that's meaningful. And so that would be pretty much the cherry on top, to go in as a Washington State Cougar into the College Football Hall of Fame alongside the best to ever do it at Boise and Kellen Moore.
Wow, what a powerful
Wow.
story. That is awesome. That is spectacular. All right, Ryan, I need you to leave us with this. I got a couple of requests for you. I need you to lean back on the video and show us your shirt one last time as you give us 30 seconds and break down this football game Saturday night. What's going to happen Saturday night? It won't be 58-0, but it might be something close to that.
I don't know. You better tell your kicker not to mouth off. I'm telling you that much. I think this could be just a flat out, street race where it's, the first one to 50, wins it. But when all of us expect that type of game, and it's happened to me in the past, it ends up being somewhat of a defensive battle because, whatever Portland State did that confounded Boise State early on, and whatever San Jose State did to really make Jake Dicker contemplate, his preparation that week, there's going to be screws that are tightened hard this week down on some things. And I watched, the biggest thing I took away from Washington State on Saturday night was how in shape they were down the stretch. It was the second overtime. They had their starting defensive tackle in there, the nose tackle, and he was mauling people. He was throwing San Jose State guys around, and he was a big reason why they ultimately won the game with that fumble at the end of it. So I expect this to be just a throwdown battle between two really well-coached teams. I expect Boise State to run the football, and I expect Jake Dicker to try to figure out a way to put an eighth guy in the box and just say, hey, you're not going to run it. You're going to have to make this young quarterback who's only got, 4 starts under his belt. You're going to have to make him go out and win the football game. That's the flat out of it. And put guys on islands out there. I think he's developed pretty good confidence with some of his guys, Hall and Durant and those guys on the back end, being able to go one-on-one and make plays. Now, they got run by San Jose State. They really did. They tried to do some things and got caught in some bad positions. Guys got to be up for it. So that's my defensive plan. Offensively, for me, it's a crapshoot with Washington State because if you want to do that, you want to put 8 guys in the box, Mateer's going to go out and throw it 50 times a game. You decide to sit back in too deep and try to play coverage. You're going to see a large dose of him running the football, essentially having an extra blocker. So I think it makes for a really neat matchup and scheme. It will be really interesting to see how the coaches come into the game with it, and then to see the adjustments that are made at halftime. That's the biggest effect in all this, is what kind of adjustments, and it shows me how great a coaching staff is when they're able to make the adjustments at halftime. I'm calling that Oregon State game a week ago. That Oregon State staff went in and they came out with adjustments that just, did a number on Purdue in that game and that win last week. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to record it, try to listen to it on the radio on the drive back from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham, but I don't know if I'll be able to. I might just shut it all down, and then when I get back to the hotel, stay up till 3 a.m. Central Time to watch it. We'll see.
You have to turn your phone off. You're going to have Chris Jackson and
when I call a game, or when phone's off, I don't want to be distracted. I will say this though: I called the Oregon State game, the Civil War, a couple weeks ago. Phone made an appearance because I had to see that 4th down stop by Wazoo over the UW. So
that Apple Cup. I remember when Ryan Leaf won the Apple Cup in Husky Stadium. They carried him off the field. The Cougar fans rushed.
Turns out, ownership of Husky Stadium went into my name that day, and I've just been leasing it out for the last 25 years. They've been good tenants. Don't get me wrong. But I'm a decent landlord, so that's
such a great guest. We always love bringing you down here to Boise. You're always so generous with this show, Ryan Leaf, and we're crossing our fingers for you and Kellen to get in the Hall of Fame class of 2025 for college football. Enjoy this game, and you got to come back on if you get in, Ryan. That's the deal. We're gonna keep bugging you.
Well, I think I should come back on next week if and when my Cougs win, just to rub it in a little bit, or maybe that might be too close and too soon. I get it.
We'll be in touch.
I'll give you a couple weeks. Yeah,
we'll be in touch if that happens. Great on the CW, by the way, Ryan Leaf. Appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, fellas. Go Cougs.
Good stuff with Ryan Leaf, and that is why you listen to Idaho Sports Talk, Prater and the Ball Game. How about a caller number 25, eh? Who wants to go to this game? Call 208-424 9300. And if you are caller number 25 and you know yesterday's keyword, you're going to go to this game. Call right now. Prater in the Ballgame.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studios, this is Ticket Traffic.